celebrated in animal omens.
If one thing very clearly separates humans from other animals, it's the remarkable way they use tools to dominate their environment. One of the first was probably a simple stone one, a rock split and shaped to make the first primitive knife. Today we rely on tools all the time, both simple ones and a staggering variety of more sophisticated and often highly noisy inventions, including the pneumatic drill. Our technology is as destructive as it is constructive. Weapons are also tools. Whether the weapon is a submachine gun or a bow and arrow, the principle is the same. Something is used to fire a missile at a target. There is virtually no place from the top of Everest to the depths of the ocean that hasn't been conquered by humans and their technology. We can congratulate ourselves on our brilliant inventiveness. But we're not the only animals to make and use tools. Several other creatures have been using tools for thousands and probably millions of years, long before humans ever had the idea. The weaver bird is not a tool user. It would have to use a needle or a crochet hook. To be a tool user, animals must use some external object, not part of its body, to perform a task which aids its survival. The woodpecker isn't one either, because it uses its beak to hammer into the wood. Like a weaver bird, its bill is part of its body, not something that it picks up and uses. So which animals have discovered tool use? One animal, which lives in the dry, sandy areas of temperate and tropical regions, sets and springs one of the most spectacular traps in the animal kingdom. The trap builders, who seldom show themselves above ground, are insects. They're called antlions because of the ruthless way in which they dispatch the large numbers of ants which fall into their traps. The antlion is a tool user because it fires a heavy barrage of sand at its victims. The human equivalent is hurling a succession of large rocks to knock something over prior to killing it. Its pincer-like jaws are sharp and snap shut to skewer the victim from both sides and then inject poison. They are a third of the body length, which is about half an inch. To excavate its trap, the antlion scoops sand onto its head and then catapults it out. The whole idea is to make a pit with steep, slippery sides. Twigs and other debris that might provide an escape route are flipped smartly out of the trap. The antlion's catapult system is powerful, but this juju fruit is a bit on the big side for flipping. Insects present problems too. The hail of sand is hurled with great force and accuracy, but it makes little impression on a heavily armored beetle. Ants don't have the same protection. Another tool-using insect also likes sandy soil. These are the vineyards of Provence in the south of France, and this is a solitary hunting wasp called Prionyx. This female has already mated with a male. Now she's looking for somewhere to lay her eggs, but first she must break up the soil's surface layer. She finds a pebble lodged in the sand. Gripping it with her jaws, she vibrates it at high frequency, rather like we use a pneumatic drill to crack concrete. Once through the surface crust, she resorts to the classic pick and shovel technique. She uses the high-frequency drill again to fill in the hole and pack down the earth. She's very vulnerable to predators at this stage. Like many wasps, her abdomen is striped with warning colors, a signal that she's not good to eat. But it doesn't seem to discourage inquisitive ants. Many wasps prey on insects. This one's speciality is grasshoppers. When she stings, it's not to kill, but to paralyze the grasshopper so that it will provide fresh food for her offspring. She checks the hole for intruders, and then fetches the grasshopper. When it's down the hole, she lays an egg on it. The grasshopper will provide the larvae, when it hatches, with enough food to develop into an adult wasp. No one yet knows what purpose this rotation serves, but all Prionyx females do it before closing their nests. The first stones are just dropped in. Later she selects pieces with all the care of a stonemason so that they fit perfectly. The wasp again uses her tool-using ability for the final touches. She grips the top stone in her jaws to compact the rubble. Its high-frequency vibrations shake down the fill-in material until it's all quite firm. It's a highly effective means of disguising her nest, and with the fill material so efficiently tamped down, there's less chance that a gust of wind will expose the entrance. A dugout burrow shows the way the surface is packed down, with the grasshopper food supply stored in the nursery chamber at the end. Hunting wasps and antlions are two types of insects known to use tools. Several other animals use them too, including a fish. When in 1765 a Dutchman living in Java described what it did, no one believed him. The fish in question lives in mangrove swamps throughout the Far East, and northern Australia. The archer fish has a remarkable ability of shooting down insect food with a stream of water drops propelled at high speed. It fires a jet of droplets at its unsuspecting victim through a sort of gun barrel. The archer fish forms this barrel by pressing its tongue against a special groove in the roof of its mouth. Power comes from rapidly compressing its gills. The closest human equivalent is a man blowing a dart through a blowpipe. These kills are filmed in ultra-slow motion. The amazing thing is that the archerfish actually allows for the angle of refraction through which light bends when striking water. That means that the fish must aim slightly off target if it is to score a bullseye. Archerfish have to practice to perfect the skill. If the food is close to the surface, the archerfish employs a more crude but equally effective killing technique. The archerfish's acrobatic skills are remarkable. Some members of the bird world have equally special skills. One of them is Fred, a North American sandhill crane who was adopted after he was found abandoned by his parents. Sandhill cranes don't usually go swimming, but then Fred is a very exceptional bird. Most birds dry themselves by shaking their feathers. So does Fred up to a point, but he also likes to rub himself down with a towel, which may take him up to half an hour on and off. It's strange behavior, which he may have learned by copying his human rescuers, but it is tool use. Many birds away from their natural state do unusual things. Several, like Fred, have been observed to use tools. But wild birds have learned to use them too. Gliding in effortless flight above the Rift Valley of Africa, an Egyptian vulture searches for food. Ostrich eggs are highly nutritious, but their shells are far too tough for a vulture to break with its beak. For centuries, there were rumors about the relationship between Egyptian vultures and ostrich eggs. They were noticed apparently throwing stones at the ground. On a closer inspection, it was discovered that the bird was deliberately trying to crack an egg. Egyptian vultures continually steal smaller eggs and throw them at the ground. This is a pelican's egg, and the vulture will soon crack it. An ostrich's egg is 5 times the size of a pelican's and contains a feast for a vulture, but it's far too big for the bird to pick up. When confronted with a giant egg, the vultures pick up stones the size of ordinary eggs instead and fling them, possibly out of pure frustration. They gradually learn to aim the stone at the egg. The Egyptian vulture propels a missile to obtain its food, so it too is a tool-using animal. The Egyptian vulture's talent is intriguing, but whether the bird shows insight or inventiveness is debatable. It could just be adapting something it knew how to do already. A bird with possibly a greater claim to inventive tool use lives thousands of miles away in the Galapagos Islands of the Pacific Ocean. Charles Darwin visited the Galapagos in 1835. Species like the prehistoric-looking tortoise formed the basis for his theory of evolution, along with the iguanas, types of lizard, and also the birds, the finches in particular. One of these finches is a tool user, though Darwin actually failed to spot this, but he did realize that all the 14 species of finch have become highly specialized. The small ground finch has even adapted to living off the blood from the base of the white booby's feathers. Galapagos finches' bill designs vary enormously. One finch has evolved a massive parrot-like beak for cracking open the toughest seeds. A pointed bill is designed for catching and eating insects, but no finch has yet evolved a beak to match a woodpecker's. There are no woodpeckers in the Galapagos, but there are plenty of insects living in rotten trees. Woodpeckers winkle them out with their long, sticky tongues. There are no long-tongued finches. Instead, one has learned to use a tool. The woodpecker finch's technique is to break off a cactus spine or twig. It is amazingly versatile in its technique. It uses the tool in up to 5 different ways: as a lever, as a goad to get the prey moving, and like a cocktail stick to spear the prey. It has even been observed to use a spine as a weapon to drive away competing finches. If one twig isn't quite right, it'll discard it and go and break off another. It is hard to imagine how the bird ever discovered that a twig could be a tool. It may be something that the finch learned while carrying small sticks as nesting material. However it learned, it has given it a definite advantage. It's the only finch which can get at the numerous wood-boring insects. Amongst mammals there are tool users, especially among our closest relatives, the great apes. This is an orangutan of Borneo and Sumatra. Its close relative, the chimpanzee, is known to perform quite a range of tasks with twigs and pieces of wood, and orangutans have been seen to use sticks to hook branches within reach. It also uses sticks when threatened by man or by a predator. If alarmed, the orang climbs up into the forest canopy and tears off sticks or branches and drops them. But it never actually makes an aimed throw. It's not deliberate like the stone throwing of an Egyptian vulture. The orang's very existence as a species is now threatened by a rather overqualified tool user. Humans' exploitation of the rainforests is not only affecting the orangutan's existence, it's also affecting their own. Without these rainforests, which act to absorb rainfall, large areas of the tropics will flood and suffer soil erosion in such a way as to render them uninhabitable by any animal, including people. While the human race is marching the orangutan steadily towards the abyss of extinction, it is also hauling this creature back from the edge of it. The carefree bather lolling on its back in the Californian sunshine is one of the world's most industrious tool users. It's the sea otter of the Pacific coast of North America. Once hunted for its thick fur, the sea otter is now making a comeback in California and elsewhere as a result of very effective protection. Like all otters, it's an excellent swimmer. It can stay submerged for up to 4 minutes while it dives for prey. The sea otter eats lobster, clams, mussels, abalone and crab. Abalone is a species of mollusk, also known as an ear shell. It's a favorite food of these otters, who will go to great lengths to get it. The abalone fixes itself securely to the bottom with a sucker-like foot. First time round, the otter doesn't succeed in loosening it. But otters are so hooked on this shellfish, they'll make up to 20 dives to get one. If it's particularly firmly anchored, then the otter brings its extraordinary tool-using talents into play. It picks up a stone from the bottom and uses it as a hammer. The sea otter uses stones in more than one way. It will dive down for a stone from the seabed and place it on its chest. The stone then serves as an anvil on which it can crack open shellfish, and the same stone anvil may be used time and time again. The sea otter depends for its very survival on its tool-using abilities. The shellfish are just too tough to cope with otherwise. The gulls know about its feeding habits and wait for the scraps. The sea otter adds the hammer and the anvil to an already impressive list of animal tools. It doesn't quite match our formidable array of technological inventions, but it does mean that our tool-using talents aren't unique. Maybe there are fewer differences than we sometimes think between humans and the rest of the animal kingdom.
In nature, things are often not what they seem. Deceivers is tomorrow's Animal Omens at the same time.